Hello. So my capstone project is called Pendle. It stands for pen to needle, and it's an app for fashion designers. The problem statement is that fashion designers have a hard time keeping track of their sketches and design info, which get lost with patterns and samples. So how can we keep all of the design info in one place for easier access for the designer? The solution is that Pendle aims to solve the issue of lost design sheets by using an app on the phone to keep track of all sketches and design info for the designer. These are some of the existing apps that I found when I was doing the heuristic analysis. There are 3 different apps, but they do 3 different things. One already has flat sketches in their library, which is the fashion design app, and the Adobe Fresco app is an app where you can sketch, but it doesn't really help with the technical sketches that a designer uses. And the Preda template has a template where you can sketch, and it has the croquis in place where you can actually um, sketch on their app with the template already there. So the user profile that I came up with has two different user profiles. One is a fashion designer, one is a pattern maker. And these are two different users that I put into my profile because, as a user profile, because this is kind of where the process where the fashion designer actually hands over their design sheet to the pattern maker. And the pattern maker also writes notes on the design sheet. But this is kind of where the sketches might get lost, or there might there might be a lost in translation when it comes to the fashion designer giving their sketch to the pattern maker. And so I found it important to have both because it the since the patterns do get lost in this process, I found it important to include both. Another person that I would add on here was the sample maker, but the sample maker just focuses on sewing the sample. So I just found that having the fashion designer and the pattern maker in the app would be helpful. And the empathy map. So the fashion designer and pattern maker, they need to have communication on both sides. Like I said before, things get lost in translation, but if they were to have all the information in one place where the information is not able to get lost, I think that would be very helpful. And this is my user flow, and the user flow really helped me guided me in the process that would be helpful for mostly the fashion designer. And the sketches, sketching out my prototype was very helpful for me because I was able to really get the basic of how the app would operate. And so these are some of more of my sketches. And then I also created the sitemap, which helped me set the foundation for the app. And I did the Guerrilla prototype testing, which I did find very helpful because a lot of designers struggle with different things. And so these are some of the foundings that I found with my with my prototype testing. And then I also, here are my wireframes this is the foundation that I set for before creating my high fidelity prototype. But I found that that after creating the wireframe, and then I found that I still needed to make a lot of changes after creating the wireframe. But this was helpful in setting the, I guess, kind of like a basic foundation of what my app would operate. How my app would operate. And and then my usability test report. Some of the problems that I found was that the fabric info is preferably added in the beginning, and the designer might not know all the sewing details. An arrow and adding text may be too small to do on the phone. Those are some of the problems I came across. And my style guide and mood board, this is kind of like the basic of what I wanted my app to look like. I wanted to keep it very simple because it is a design app and I didn't want to influence the designer's creativity. But then again, kind of like the wireframe, I did kind of end up changing the color and the fonts. And so the higher fidelity prototype, this is kind of the logo that I came up with. And it's just literally just a pen to a needle. That's kind of the basic of what my logo is. So this is my prototype. So we are on the home page right now. And if I add a new design, I create the style number, which is how we're going to be able to find the style number and keep track of the style number. So this is the style number right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a photo, and then it scans. And then we use the photo. And then we can add things like fabric info right here. And then we can also add the sewing details right here. And then we could also add the measurements, pattern chart. This is what the pattern maker would mostly put in the info. And you can add trims, and then you could add stitches, and then you could add details, and that's kind of how things would work. And then when you finish, all the information would pop up. Then back to home, when you look at your designs. So yeah, that's kind of how the app would operate. You could also download as any of these different types of files, PNG, JPEG, and PDF. And then you could also, so that's kind of how this app would work. And then I also created just a few different places where you could easily find your designs. You can view your design team's design, and you could browse by your different seasons, and you could also browse by your work and what you're working on right now. And so that is the basics of how this app works. And yes, thank you. And yes, this with the future apps, the future goals for this app would be creating a desktop version and having a step-by-step option for beginner fashion designers, so they can learn the process so they could learn the design process. And I would also want to create a fabric library with all the fabric and vendor information. So these are some of the things that I would have wanted to add onto this app. And so yes, and thank you for listening. And that is my capstone project. Thank you for listening, and hope you